Welcome back to our Minecraft Cornerstone survival series here in Hardcore Minecraft. This is Messiah back with you guys. So in the last episode, we went mining and we actually found some diamonds. And if you look right in here, you'll see, we have enough diamonds to make a block of diamonds now. I guess we could do with some more iron. Yeah, 15 there. But yeah, we also made this armor, and once we get more levels, we could enchant it all. Now today, what I wanted to do is two things. I wanted to build another like hobbit hole section here, which probably is gonna call for me clearing out some of this dirt, and then I also wanted to build our nether portal. We'll probably put it on top of the mountain, I don't know yet, but for now we want to build that hobbit hole. So let's clear out some of this dirt and then we could get started on that build. So as I kind of clear out this dirt, we just wanted to continue a little bit, about what I started talking about in the last episode, this whole idea of just sharing more and giving more commentary on like life and having the conversations that I intended to have when I first thought of making this Minecraft Let's Play. Last episode I started talking about a little bit about Japan and what life has been like here, specifically in the context of being a Christian missionary here in Japan, and meeting Japanese people like the postman who is now my friend. I think it's awesome. So I was born in Guyana, not Ghana, which is in Africa. I was born in Guyana, which is in South America. It is actually the only English-speaking country in South America. Yeah. And then when I was about 7 years old, my family, my immediate family that is, all moved to Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, with me. They didn't just leave me behind. No, we all went to Trinidad and Tobago, which is in the Caribbean. It is like a twin island republic, so two small islands that make up one country. And some of the culture is similar to Guyana because Guyana is English speaking. It gets lumped in with the Caribbean a lot of the time. It's technically not a Caribbean island because it is not an island. So not technically, literally, it's not a Caribbean island. But it is part of the CARICOM, which is like a coalition of some Caribbean islands and some other non-Caribbean islands like Guyana and Suriname that create this kind of Caribbean community. But yeah, so some of the Caribbean culture is similar, but some things are also different. And yeah, I feel like in just making that shift from Guyana to Trinidad, there's some things that I learned with regards to, just accepting differences and learning that the world is a lot more different than I might think it is. Because, I had to, even like words, there's some words that are different. So we have certain names for fruits in Guyana, and in Trinidad, they go by a completely different name. That's like one of the simplest examples I could think of, but there's like bigger examples in terms of like, oh my gosh, lightning just struck the snowman and I was standing right next to it. That could have been horrible. Let me just take a nap. Yeah, but there's like bigger things. Like I remember the first big thing for me in Guyana, if you want somebody to like move, like shift a little bit, like let's say it's a bench and multiple people could sit in the bench, but the person that is like sitting closest to you, you just want them to move a little bit. You might ask them to go down, right? Could you move down a little bit? But in Trinidad, they would ask you to go around, right? Which also means to just move to the side a little bit. And so sometimes I might ask people to go down and they didn't understand like what I was asking them to do. And so that was like a little moment of like learning for me, an adjustment. But it was really good for me, I think, at an early age, and I enjoyed like like just having my worldview widen, my perspective on life just broadened. And I think because of those fundamental experiences, I really like developed an appreciation for cultural differences and cultural nuances. And so that's just always been something that I enjoy. Experiencing differences, differences in culture, differences in food, differences in people. I thrive on new experiences. And then, like, later on in life, like, I started doing more traveling, specifically to the US and back. I remember the first time I went to New York, and at this point, I would have considered myself, a really open minded person. I experienced like some major culture shock just in terms of what seemed like to me the hostility of New York, right? Because, you tell people like hi and good morning as you pass by, because that's like a very Caribbean thing to do. But in New York, like, people weren't always keen to respond. And to me, I was like, oh my gosh, these people are very rude. Well, later on in life, I got the opportunity to study uh, like intercultural communication and some of these things because my academic background is in communications. So like there's a lot of courses that I did on cultural and just communication in general. Um, and like we came across this idea of different cultural paradigms and different, just cultural persuasions. Like people in different cultures do different things in different ways, which it seems so like obvious in retrospect. But at the time, I was like, oh wow. So what was like shocking to me about New York, and I perceived as rude, well, it's very likely that on the other hand, some of those people that I was trying to be kind to in saying good morning could have seen me as being rude because, from what I understand, in New York, there's this value for just more or less like privacy or staying to one's self. And so, me just trying to assert conversation to these random strangers could be seen as invasive and rude, whereas them not responding to me, well, that was the rude thing. Anyway, so like different things like that I have encountered um, at different times, and it's given me the opportunity to just like grow in my understanding of, oh, you know, the world is different than I might think it is, and people do things differently than I do. And so eventually, like later on, like where I did a lot of my studies was in Florida. Even there, like it was so interesting to experience other cultures as well. And I think a beautiful thing for me, because I went to Florida Tech, Florida Institute of Technology. That school is like very internationally oriented, if that's the best way to say that. I don't know. Um, so there's a lot of international students that go to that school. So people from, you know, the African continent, people from Europe, people from Asia even. There was like Japanese and Chinese exchange students that I met and tried to make friends with, but it was a little bit more difficult to enter that friend group, especially like with the language barrier. But yeah, um, so there's a lot of experiences I've had of different cultures, and I've grown to like really appreciate differences and different cultural perspectives. So now that I'm here in Japan, and I guess I'm experiencing some of that again. Um, so a lot of things are different, like the way people do things or say things or just are is really different. Um, but I enjoy it because again, I feel like some of those fundamental experiences for me, they kind of paved the way for me to be more open-minded with regards to experiencing some of these differences. Um, so yeah, I don't know if you guys have like any significant experience with cultural differences and stuff. But it would be cool to hear about. But yeah, so I cleared out the side of this little cliff, and now I am gonna work on this hobbit hole situation. I want to do it a little bit different than the other one, right? Because you could see this one if I just step back a little bit. You see, it's just so it's got the one huge entrance and then these two small windows. I think over here, what I want to go for is a small entrance and then a massive window. 5. All right, let me step back, take a look at this. Yeah, that is massive. I will take out these just so that we can bring it up by 1. Once we get this done quick enough, I want to also build our Nether portal. Will that be possible? Well, again, it depends on how quickly I get this done. But we're not gonna be able to go to the Nether today, that's for sure. But once we get that up and running, then we'll be able to go in the next episode. So that should be cool. Yeah, I could even do it like 1 more over. Yeah. So nice. So then we'll have another window on this side, and we'll do the same thing in terms of like make it 3 on each side so that it has that square symmetry. And some of this will get dug out just to make the inside of it, but yeah. All right, so those are the holes all framed out. We want to do stairs either on the inside or the outside. So let me see, how does it look on the inside? And how does it look on the outside? Is that too thick? Yeah, I think just on the inside is fine. Okay, so there we have it. That's the I was gonna say that's the idea for the windows, but I think actually what we want to do is remove these ones from here and put them on the other one. Okay, so with these trapdoors, we want to place them like here and here. I want to start to bring in some stone elements because this is going to be more like a forge kind of situation. Yeah, maybe that's just good, just like that. Weird, but that's fine. Put one there as well. And then what could you make with granite? Can you make like a smooth? Yes, you can. All right, you guys know the drill, you know. Once you see me start putting blocks in a crafting table in an order in which it produces nothing, well then we've gotten to that part of the build where I'm like, my mind's all over the place. I'm trying to figure out like where things go, what to do, what looks good, what doesn't look good, and like what can I use. I feel like sometimes I have ideas in my mind of like, oh, this block will look good, but then that block actually does not exist, and so then I have to figure out what works instead. But while I figure this out, and you could kind of see me figuring it out, I thought I would talk a little bit about Christmas. Reason being, I haven't talked about it at all, and basically next week is Christmas. So I have some ideas. We're gonna finish this for sure, and we're gonna go to the Nether. We want to do that, but once we get back from the Nether, I think the next thing I want to build here are like Christmas related decorations, like a Christmas tree. I've been having an idea, like if we could breed the dogs some more, which I think we just use meat. I thought it would be bones, but we just use meat. We could breed the dogs, and we could actually make like a dog sled, which makes sense for the snow. But I wanted to build some Christmas related themes, and I also wanted to talk a little bit more about Christmas. I'm probably not gonna get into it too much in this video. But this idea of Christmas, especially since, I've talked about Japan, and in this video already I've talked a little bit about how different cultures do different things differently. I mean, I'm actually pretty curious to know if there are specific traditions or ways that you or your family or wherever you grew up in your country, something that's like really specific to you guys in terms of how you celebrate Christmas. But I want to talk a little bit about like what the meaning of Christmas is or is supposed to be or was, versus what it has become now, and kind of how I am trying, or how my wife and I are planning to kind of make sure that we stick close to the true meaning of Christmas and not get too caught up in decorations and gifts and just all the other things that come in Christmas. Not that any of those things are bad. I mean, some of them are, but like nothing is wrong with giving gifts or receiving gifts. Nothing is wrong with decorating in moderation. Nothing is wrong with food. I love food. I love Christmas food. Oh my gosh. Yo, back home, like in Trinidad, my mom, she would throw down for Christmas, bro. Ham. And in Guyana, there's this thing called pepper pot, which we make. You can make it any time of the year, honestly, but it's most popular at Christmas time, bro. This Christmas there will be no pepper pot, and I don't even know if there will be ham, which is it's different. I was gonna say it's sad, but it's different. It's different. Anyway, but yeah, I wanted to start shifting towards Christmas. I'm kind of late, honestly. Christmas begins. Well, actually, I don't know. When does Christmas begin for you? Because for me, Christmas is the only like quote unquote holiday that I really decorate for or really like celebrate. So honestly, once you get to like, I feel like once September is done, because my sister's birthday is at the end of September, and so as a family we don't have anything else to celebrate except for Christmas. So once we get into October, it's time to start decorating for Christmas. But I know some people wait until like after Thanksgiving, or I don't know, some people like for Halloween or Black Friday, I don't know. But for me, like, that's kind of what Christmas looks like. And once the Christmas decorations go up, bro, they're up. Probably till like Easter, I don't know. But obviously some of those things are gonna change now that my wife and I are figuring out what Christmas looks like for us. It's not just about me anymore, or like what my family did. Now we are creating our own traditions and figuring out Christmas together. And I wanted to talk with you guys about like the true meaning of Christmas, like if I could, say it like that. But I don't think I want to talk about that in this video. However, in the next video where we actually go to the Nether, I know we're gonna like set up a Nether base, like some kind of something over there, and so maybe while I'm building that, then I could use that time while I'm figuring out building, because we saw how building goes for me. We'll be watching it right now, actually. I want to start talking about Christmas. I want to talk about the history of Christmas to some extent with some research. I want to talk about the biblical understanding of what Christmas was meant to be, or what it started as, and maybe a little bit about how it became other things, and how we could kind of get back to the true meaning of Christmas, just so that in the hype of the season we don't get lost in it. Just like so. Nice. So that was our first ever copper armor. Like so. Nice. Looking good. Nice. So now I could put these like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. So first we're gonna put the wooden axe, then the stone pickaxe, then the copper shovel, and these are like special items. This and this. Nice. Looking good. Now the last thing I think we're gonna do this episode, and we still have to like beautify in here, but I'll probably just do that, as we go along. But we are gonna light this portal, which for that we just need flint and steel, which is just iron and flint. Alright, let's see, flint and steel. There we go. Alright, so we're about to light our nether portal. I'm not gonna go into the nether until I have on full diamond armor. Well, not full diamond armor. 3 pieces of diamond armor and 1 gold piece. But, oh yeah, we could light that bad boy up. Nice. So that's great. That's great. I'm not gonna go in there. I'm tempted, but I'm not. So guys, Lex Messiah here. Thank you guys for checking out this episode. Yeah, having fun, and I'll catch you in the next one.